During our research, we asked ChatGPT a simple question. What are some questions that software engineers keep asking you in the age of AI, especially those who started their careers before it? Well, the answers were strikingly clear. What happens to years of experience if AI can write code? Or how do you upskill without having to start over? Or how do you even stay relevant when the job descriptions keeps changing every day? So we thought, instead of speculating, why not bring someone who's lived through these changes in his journey? We introduce you to Amit. He started his journey as a bachelor in computer science from Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology and now has worked across various companies as a software engineer, companies like Amazon, TikTok, and DoorDash. Today, he works as a senior software engineer at Microsoft, navigating how AI has become a part of everyday software engineering. He's someone who's built large scale systems even before AI and now uses AI as a part of his everyday job. Welcome to the Curious Workforce, where we get curious about how work really works. This is episode 2 of How AI is Changing Your Industry. I'm your host Celine, and we listen to Amit's story in his own words.
Hi Amit, thank you for being there in my podcast. I'd like to straight
Mhm.
jump into questions. So my first question to you is, when you started working, AI was not a part of your journey in the initial years. AI tools started
Mhm.
becoming more and more part of your everyday work now. What was your first reaction
Mhm.
to adapting it? Was it excitement? Was it skepticism or a pressure to adapt?
So basically, I started in 2016 as an intern at Amazon India, and at that time there was no AI. Um, yeah, there were like at that point, if you had to find something, Stack Overflow was the number one tool for coders to find anything language related or syntax related, or if you had any technical sort of coding question, you would go there. Uh, to like disambiguate it, like remove company specific information, make it a general question, and then like try to get answers. But it's a very long and async process. You are lucky, like most of the times you ended up being lucky because someone may have asked that question already. But if not, then you have to like search other sites, do your own research, maybe ask a new question on Stack Overflow. Otherwise, maybe internal community question answer channels might have answers already, or you may need to ask there. Amazon had one such site, internal site, so that was helpful. But yeah, AI came in around 2022-ish, like ChatGPT got released. But at the same time, there were layoffs happening across, like started like as the first thing we had ever seen in the industry, at least since 2016-17. Like that was the first period where I saw like layoffs also happening in like bigger companies, which were considered like much safer places to work at. That it would never happen there, right? Like it was never expected. But yes, layoffs and AI started around at the same time, and since then till even today, both are kind of a big part of reality of tech, like both layoffs and AI.
Yeah, Amit, I think we've seen that, and I think it's as much as useful it is. Do you think in certain way it worries you more as we are going ahead because the kind of learning experience you had when you were transitioning in your career, you had to how a coding tool works at its core, and right now you are just adding on to the advantages with the help of AI. But with the new generation or with the Gen Zs coming up, do you think what would threaten more, like a bad code or just an engineer who's relying too much on an engineer?
Okay, yeah. I would say definitely like if you have to start with like first like to succeed anywhere, first of all, the basic things don't still change, right? Like you still have to think from like first principles thinking, like, okay, uh, does this make sense? Like, do I know the, down level, deeper level things to the extent that I should be knowing? You cannot compromise on the basics. So I would say like the engineering degree is still valuable. Uh, Freshers like are still valuable. Freshers will have to like learn like the basics and not forget them. It's if that's like it's not an option to skip it, because like to do like the things that AI can allows us to do, you really cannot skip the underlying, knowing the underlying things. Like you can maybe make progress, you will someone can definitely make progress, like a product and manager can prototype, and they can make a prototype to for a demo, that they can do. But if you ask a non-technical person to like go ahead and write something, actually code out something like a product and then ship it, I I don't think they'll be able to do that. Point is, no one can skip like the basic foundational engineering knowledge and that, grit that one has to like, go through. Like you cannot skip it. You cannot be like, I'll take like a high school person and make them ship, you know, vibe code, have them vibe code and have them ship like production code. Because production code, if you make certain like security mistakes, like let's say, or uh, some compliance issue, some legal, thing you miss, you will get into trouble, which will be much more than the cost of having a proper like a, good developer, right? One could be like, okay, AI gave out something code and it works, so someone will push it, but that will build on like a lot of technical debt. What is called technical debt? Technical debt is basically something that will not be a problem for today, but over the period of time, it will become so bad that you may have to rewrite your whole, code again. So there are problems, right? Like if you want to have something stable, something extensible, flexible, maintainable, something that other developers can come in and contribute without any problems, then you do need to like slow down a bit and look at what's the output that the AI is giving, and not really accept everything that the AI is giving. You need to be smart enough or experienced enough to understand and differentiate that what is a good AI output and what is a bad AI output. Like what is just like hallucination maybe, right? Even if it works. So yeah, I mean it's I would say people will be I mean, it's not that that you can skip the basics. You cannot skip the basics. You cannot compromise on security, compliance, quality, high quality, evolving tech code base, or like stack. So yeah, I mean, and you cannot let AI make mistakes in like things like infrastructure or things like that, because what if your AI code like deletes some infrastructure which is critical, right? Like some database cluster, because now you have infrastructure as code. So it's possible that you letting your AI take over that infrastructure as code repository, and if it changes some critical network connection or like database cluster, then and in case it gets deployed, then you will lose a lot of things. I mean, it will become very difficult to like recover from those things. So it's a double-edged sword, I would say. Like it can definitely help you go fast, help you go without a knowledge of 100% of things, but it's risky. So that's why you need people who are experienced and who can do things even without AI. So yeah.
Yeah. So Amit, like you said, it's the assist, but there could be a possibility where it could turn into a main player. And we, as in, I'm speaking from a point of view, from the Gen Z point of view, who are threatened by it, that it might take over our jobs, or we might not be able to get the kind of positions that we're looking for, or even as an entry level, it has become very tough for us to enter the market right now, because everyone requires experience. So in that case, how do you, coming from experience, suggest any tools, or in your experience, just one advice that you would give to us, to the newer generations, to be persistent at what we are trying to do?
I would say like that is true. Like it's sad, I mean, I would say, because for a fresh grad to directly get like a job in big tech, because big tech has a lot of options, even for entry level positions, they can have someone who has experience at like, startup or like mid-sized companies and directly take them as junior engineers, and people will be willing to work for that. Uh, so I would say like either Gen Z should like start their own things, like because you will need that starter experience from somewhere, from either some company gives it to you or you create your own opportunities. So the entry level experience is still required to grow into some like an SD2, like a software engineer 2, or mid or senior level engineers. To grow into that, someone has to do that entry level thing, right? You cannot just jump to being a senior engineer. To get that experience, you either create your own opportunities or you join a startup. These are the only two options. You join a startup which are resource constrained, and they pay you, whatever they can pay, but they give you that opportunity. So you take that opportunity and use that as stepping stone, be better, and eventually join big tech or bigger companies. So that is there. I mean, you have to start somewhere. You cannot skip that experience, and you have to do it somewhere, so that you can one day get an opportunity to whatever bigger tech company you were targeting. Earlier it used to be that you can, and even today, like even big tech will not stop hiring like entry level people, it will still hire, just that bigger companies have lot more options and choices to like choose from. So it's up to them if they really want to hire people fresh out of college, or even there they will maybe hire the best if they want to. But in any case, they have options to hire people, and I think those options are always there. But just now is that it's more, because the thing is, the better experience someone is, the better they can use AI.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really a very beautiful piece of advice that you've given to us. If it doesn't come to you, you have to get it started.
You have to
Uh,
get it. I mean, you have
yeah.
to find some place where you can apply whatever you know to incrementally get better at skills, like, or change yourself, how you operate, right? Productivity, how productive you are, change that, and someone will give you an opportunity. I mean, or build something of your own. It's easy to say all these things, but I mean, that's like the best. Like, you have to start at a smaller company if some bigger company is not giving it an opportunity. The skills are important. You should be learning and getting that skills and becoming more attractive to these other bigger companies, so that whenever there's an opening, you get a chance. Because
Okay.
hiring is still going on. It's not like jobs have stopped getting created, or in fact, like I would see like a demand for people who know AI increasing. Like definitely, like AI is like you cannot skip AI, right? So people who are good at AI, or like can there's something called AI fluency. So one of the companies that I worked at, they had this in their performance review, that you have to be good at AI. That is a very core parameter of a software engineer now. It's called AI fluency. You will be judged on how many tokens you end up using, you know. So whenever you do like a question answer to like a chat, it will use some tokens of the company's quota, right? So how much are of that you utilizing as a single person, right? As an individual, how much of it is that you are utilizing? How intensely are you talking to AI? Um, are you building AI, basically adoption of AI and building more AI tools internally, is what, like, or something that the external users can also use, like AI is everywhere, like in your productivity, in what you build. So wherever you can put in AI, they're just like focusing on that. Like it's a performance review metric, a key performance indicator. Like, are you a good engineer or not, will be based off of your AI fluency. I mean, it is a big parameter, so cannot be ignored.
That's a really interesting knowledge to have. I mean, we would not know about this AI fluency that you mentioned. So, Amit, we discussed how the changes have been throughout the years and how you've been consistently upskilling yourself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
as a software engineer, probably at a managerial level right now,
Mm-hmm.
what advice do you give to the upcoming Gen Z or to the upcoming newcomers? The top five skills that they must have in order to be a part of a team. It is
Okay.
technical as well as business or managerial skills.
I okay. I would say for freshers, um, the things that were expected before, they definitely have to be there. Like whatever was expected from like a, let's say, a graduating computer science engineer uh 10 years ago versus now is not a lot different, in the sense that lead code is still relevant. So system design, definitely, like it's an evolving thing too. So you need to be in touch with like core coding skills and definitely like design skills, and they're evolving like new coming roles like AI ML engineer roles. So if someone has interest in that, like becoming like building training models and all those things, productionizing models, working with data scientists, so that's also like one uh, type of and which is like being in like increasing in demand the past couple years. So definitely back-end engineering, front-end engineering, data engineering, web designing, and like front-end development, like those sort of jobs are there, and they're not going anywhere, because even to build any product today or launch a company like a software engineering tech company, they are mostly doing these things. Like these are not like not there, like these are definitely there. So from an engineer who is graduating, the skills of, let's say, like questions like coding questions will be asked. If they're going for a mid or senior level, design and behavior like will also be given like more importance. uh, but yeah, I mean, a person graduating will have to go through data structure and algorithm rounds, right? So those are definitely expected. Just that the other part that was also one has to do there, like before, was development aspect of things, right? Like, have you developed an app? Have you worked on, building things apart from, let's say, lead code and other stuff? That thing one can do more easily now. Even like earlier, people used to like go for trainings for like getting, development projects done on something on their resume. But now they can do things on their own with like prompt, like, get by getting better at prompts and like using the building blocks that they learn from like their core engineering to and translate it to something to build a prototype. So I think it's not really a very very radical change. It's like new things, come up, and you always need to evolve. This had always been the case even before AI. Like uh mobile development was new in the last decade, for example. um People had to like work with, let's say, bootstrap, and like the front end development scenario, like they had also like evolved, like, so it's all evolving. Like back end transition from like monoliths to microservices, and then cell and pods and kubernetes and docker and whatnot. So I think it's like always been the case where it's like an evolving scenario, just that the new element right now is AI. And it's not that AI is like a core, like in its own, like, you are doing only AI, you're doing it in tandem with something else. Like you're doing backend engineer, you're doing like, some ML, you're using some AI LLM to kind of build products. Or you're, if you're into like core, like, MLAI, you're building models, training them, like those sort of things. So it's not like everything has changed. It's like 20%, 30%, maybe 40% of things like are newish in the way that you need to augment your existing things, and in tandem with AI you can be better at things. So yeah, I mean, the expectations from freshers is like still like be a hard worker, consistent person, like, who's delivering things. uh, be curious to know what's evolving and what has been out there. um, be better at communicating whatever progress they are making, and if they have questions or they are unblocked, then they definitely do it as before, like as one would have done before. So just that the expectation in terms of ramping up, like the speed of ramping up in a company is like, okay, instead of taking 4 months, now the person should would be expected to be, you know, maybe 2 months. Like things like that are changing. And you really can't be stuck for a long time. Earlier, there used to be that you're stuck on someone to answer your question, you're waiting for something to happen, like to give you more knowledge. But now, every knowledge base of the company, every document, even a code base, if you want to understand, you can ask AI to summarize, like, what is this class doing, right? Or what are the files in this folder doing. You don't really have to read everything to know. You don't really have to have to another person to tell you something to be able to know something. So people can do more things on their own today, and that is what expected in like your day to day as a person who's joining any organization, maybe a new or fresh, it doesn't matter. So I would say like the expectations from like an engineer are still like similar, just that what tools and the things in the toolkit are like evolving and changing. But if you're a problem solver, if you're like a hard working person, like consistently delivering things, uh, you are like motivated to build new things, or like contribute in newer like places wherever you go. Those things are still expected, and those are like not going anywhere. Like a person who's smart and hardworking is still required, right, for an organization. So I would say fearing AI, there's no point. Like, what will you do? You can just sit in your home, like do nothing. You have to anyways go out, fight it out, and just be like more aware of things that are happening, and just don't be stuck into what someone was saying 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the advice was relevant then. Maybe it's relevant still, but you need to know newer things and keep up, be up to date, because it's always been the kind of field like IT and software engineering have always, like 1990 was different, 2000 was different, 2010 was different, 2020 was different. And it's like you have to like put in more from your end. And yeah, but it's not that like life is hell. Like people are still like making and earning and like looking forward to things. So, and companies also are evolving. So I mean, right now it doesn't it's not a gloomy picture that I would paint. It's a very like possibilities, like future of possibilities, like from here. And it's always been the case, like, so there's no point in fearing AI or taking away our jobs and whatnot. I mean, definitely many jobs which are like um, low effort, or like not a lot of intelligence is required to do them, like copywriting or like marketing, like, but even there, like it's like helping. So certain sort of like low complexity jobs are going to go away maybe, but people who have been like doing intense kind of core tech, will be still be required. So
Yeah,
because
I
AI
think
cannot be given 100% control, right? Right now, it's not there. Like, I'm not even close. That there's still like hiring going on. There's still like people making job switches. There are new companies coming up. Businesses are evolving. So people are required.
absolutely. I think it's very valuable ideologies that you've given me. One last trick question that I want to keep up to make it
Okay.
little as a fresher, do you think is masters relevant anymore, or does experience take
Oh,
away everything?
masters relevant? That I mean, I don't know. I never did a masters. Uh, so it I never did a master. So I've always saw masters as a way to one, immigrate to the US, like try a stepping a foot in the door sort of a thing, that you be, if people want to come to US in general, they can still go for masters, maybe if the costs are less, like ROI factor, if they're it's making sense to them. Because coming to like masters to US, or in fact any other, like let's say Western country, it's an experience. It's going to teach you a lot of things, uh, which you may not. Going to give you a lot of exposure, a lot of debt exposure, like responsibilities. Um, so those things, like if someone wants to get into, they can. But if you're asking, like if they're already in India, have done a bachelor's and can get a job, that's also a very good way to start your career and grow from there. I did that way. I joined in India, like definitely an American company, but you have tons of them in India right now. So I mean, that's a natural choice. Like someone is graduating as an engineer in India, the natural choice is to like join an American company. But nowadays, even Indian startups are there, so it's a lot more options, like compared to like 8 years back when I started. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's like personal choice, I would say, doing a master's or like PhD versus, because in the industry, doing a bachelor's is enough. I mean, to get started, if you, as a, let's say, a front end or a back end or a data engineer, like you can do that. If you want more like MLAI specialization or maybe like some specialization, then you can do masters if you're interested in that topic and you think it helps you more. But and also like getting to US, right? It's one of the ways. Um, but it's not absolutely required. You can always learn things, and you can get like a specialized, like you can get into a role which is like can steer you towards that specialization. Like you can get that experience through industry and learnings on your own. But if you want to do it the formal way, you can do that. I think it's up to like how much money you have, how much time you have, what are your financial responsibilities or whatnot. And but yeah, masters, it's always good to have a master's, right, compared to a bachelor's. But whether you want to do that actually or like get through, whatever positions you want through like through experience, industry experience, it's like a personal choice, I would say. uh, it's not mandatory definitely to do a master's to get a job. You can do that. I mean, if you're a good engineer, even a bachelor's is enough. uh, but yeah, I mean, I have no comments on that because it's like a very different decision, right? Like compared to just working in a job. So, and since I haven't done it, I haven't had anyone ask me like, why don't you have a like, I don't think not having a master's has limited my opportunities. In fact, I have 2 more years of experience by not doing a master's, like in my case. But yeah, many friends that I know, like they have progressed rapidly in their careers as well after a master's. So it's worth it if you can do it. You have the time, you have the money, you want to, you can move out of India. Like it's like a lot of things. So yeah, it's a
I think,
personal, what's your personal situation, right? And
yeah.
do you want to do it? In my case, like it was like I got a job, I kept doing it, and I never, had to do masters, so I never did it. Maybe in future I end up doing it, like, but I don't know. Not for now, I don't have any plans to do masters.
I
Maybe a
think.
PhD. Maybe a PhD. If I really go and study, I will do a PhD. Because 2 years versus 4 5 years. I mean, I'll rather do PhD rather than just masters, right? If
Yeah.
I'm going to like giving exams, I'll do it for a bigger degree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would
Like
be delightful to see Dr. Amit soon.
I don't know. I Yeah. But yeah, all the best to people who are listening or have listened to this point, and uh, don't fear AI, embrace it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amit. I know your schedule has been busy for giving us this time.
If this conversation made you curious, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. If there's a topic you want us to explore or people you want us to bring in, drop it in comments below. Until then, be curious.